My name's Collin Hart, and today I'm here with one of our advisors, Marc Flynn. Marc, thanks for joining me today. So we're going to start out by talking about a recent transaction together. So give us a high level on the client we were working with, specialty, geography, just to kind of set the stage.
Yeah, so the client was a physician-owned practice in ophthalmology in Florida. They had about 6 partners, very strong group, had great financials. They pretty much had a majority market share in Florida.
Surgery center, multiple locations, give us a composition there.
So they had 3 locations. One was their flagship ASC and clinic,
Okay.
and then they had 2 ancillary facilities that were more optometry centers with a couple of exam rooms.
And so were all 3 locations physician-owned?
Yes, physicians owned the practice as well as the real estate.
Okay, so sounds like you might be setting us up for a traditional sale-leaseback transaction, but was there a twist in the story?
So actually there was. We had approached the physicians about selling their real estate. We had a good introductory meeting with them. They later told us in that conversation that they were going to do a private equity transaction to sell their practice. They had let us know, hey, we're comfortable with you as our real estate advisors, but we may not talk to you for 6 months because we're going to get done with our practice transaction first. And typically when that happens, we like to get better knowledge of where they are in their practice transaction deal to help them provide guidance on their lease so they know what to watch out for and they can preserve value in their real estate transaction. They had said, thanks but no thanks, we want to focus on the practice transaction first. And so we talked to them about maybe 4 or 5 months later, and for whatever reason, their practice transaction had been delayed. So they said, you know what, let's go ahead and get the real estate done first. The practice transaction may not come until later. So when we had worked with them, we reviewed the leases that they had negotiated with the private equity firm, and they had $9 lease rates, which is severely under market. But when you have a landlord physician and a tenant physician, they can make whatever agreement they want with themselves.
But it matters if they're going to go through a private equity transaction because they're no longer, if they own the building, they're not going to be renting it to themselves, they're going to be renting to
the private equity group, correct. So we had worked with them and said, hey, just to let you know, market's probably about $24 a square foot and you're at $9. And so just by bumping the rent to market value, we could get them $8 million more on their real estate transaction.
But that probably didn't have a nice impact on the practice side, right?
No, so their investment bankers were not very happy about that because what happens is when we raise the rent, we lower the EBITDA, which affects the practice valuation. However, in a practice transaction, the multiple that they pay on is about 6 to 10 times multiple of EBITDA. And on the real estate side, it's about a 14 to 15 times multiple of rent. So even though we are lowering the value of their practice, we are raising the value of their real estate by much more than that decrease, resulting in a net gain for our physicians.
Right, so, and not a small net gain, probably several $1 million of total transaction value between both deals, right?
Correct,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It ended up being about $4 million on the total.
Okay, got it. So you got involved, helped them reset their rent to more of a market rate, and then how did things go? Did they close their practice transaction? Did you close the real estate? How did things play out?
So that's actually a very interesting part of the story. We had done a 3-week call for offers process to get them some offers. We got them 8 offers, probably about 5 of them were serious contenders. We selected the buyer, and then about a week before signing the purchase and sale agreement, Hurricane Michael came and completely destroyed one of the properties. When I say completely destroyed, I mean it put it out of service for probably over a year. There was a lot of flooding, a lot of roof damage, some paint needed to be fixed. And so that's kind of the great thing about healthcare, though, is even though the facility was destroyed, they had, a temporary facility so they can keep on practicing. And it ended up being a really good deal for the buyer because insurance came in and was able to fix the building, get them a new roof, get them new paint, fix all the floors. So they got an almost new building. They actually, one of the other eye practices in the area decided to completely shut down. They didn't want to go through the whole revamping process after Hurricane Michael, so it probably helped their market share as well there too.
How did that play out with the private equity in terms of the building sale?
It ended up turned out great because the buyer was always on hand, and we were never really worried that they would leave, because if they did, we had 5 other competitive offers on the table that would gladly swoop in.
Okay. And so in the end, it sounds like the practice transaction closed successfully. The real estate transaction obviously closed successfully with all 3 buildings, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the practice group that acquired them, we worked hand in hand with them throughout the whole reconstruction process and everything. So.
Okay. It sounds like it was a really great outcome. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
Nope, that should do it.
Okay. So Marc, thanks for joining us. Hopefully everyone finds some value in this case study, and we'll look forward to the next transaction together.
Thanks.